My name is Jerry Sherstead, and we have Jalil, who is the CEO of Mountainise. And today's webinar is going to be talking about many things, including B2B marketing analytics, how your marketing analytics uh, uh, is correlated with your marketing, and how to use that as sort of a beacon or a flashlight to make sure you're not marketing in the dark. So how is Jalil doing today?
I'm excited actually. This is one of the topic which I would say that a lot of people have a wish list to talk, but since kind of tough to discover and do a lot of in-depth conversation. So yeah, I'm pumped.
Very cool. Well, let me do a quick introduction of myself here, and I'm going to pull open this slide deck. So
Oh
today's
yes.
webinar is called "Are You Marketing in the Dark? Analytics as Your Flashlight." Very important stuff, analytics. My name is Jerry Sherstead. I'm a Salesforce administrator, and about 20 years in advertising, marketing, digital marketing, CRM technologies, as well as marketing automation. Jalil Nawaz, he is the CEO of Mountainise. He is a technology innovator. He's got over a decade in the digital sphere, and he's mastered and simplified these complex concepts with digital marketing. So he's going to add some really, really cool stuff to our webinar today and help you understand some all the stuff that's going to make you successful with um, analytics. So let's get over here to my outline. And so, Jalil, talk to me a little bit about what B2B analytics is. Why do we need it?
So I I would like to take a little bit different approach today, and I think taking a use case would make a lot of sense. So in usually in especially these days with there is a lot of marketing and the sales activity going on. Then there is a several departments are there, like the revenue teams are there, marketing and sales, and eventually everyone comes to a same question. Well, let's look at the pipeline and how does the pipeline look like. So at the start of the day, they start with just one report, which looks like a total pipeline value. How does that open, close, lost, stalled, that kind of stuff. But eventually, everyone start asking more questions. How did we lose this much, money in the closed loss? Why things are in the stalled? Why it's just not moving at all? So to answer these kind of things, the important, essential, I would say a kind of ritual for should be for the company these days is the B2B marketing analytics. Like literally, you need to have uh, all of the stacks in a sequence, all the methodology in a place where you are able to answer these questions within your systems, and that's where usually people or the companies find one piece of information in CRM, like maybe in Salesforce, another piece of information they would go into the marketing automation tool, and then they would again they are lost since there is no such definition of connecting one uh, defined matrix to another one. That's where I think the B2B marketing analytics is very important. It's exactly like the B2C, but it needs to have the more authenticity over the B2C, which is usually happening in the e-commerce industry. So yeah, that's how I think it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So talk a little bit about the impact of analytics and B2B marketing as far as when it comes to decision making and of your marketing. Think about strategic changes that are driven by analytics, and they have to lead to marketing improvement. So how does that work?
So I cannot share the exact client name, but we had a very interesting use case. couple of months back, there was a client, like one of the largest project management tool, I would say, and they had millions of dollars just in the marketing. And they were spending approximately couple of $1 million every year just on the marketing for the events and ads, and then the sales team is doing a lot of outreach. There are millions of dollars on the tech stack, and this year at the end of the closing of the year, they wanted to really make a decision, and in that decision, the one thing, the fundamental was that, okay, how do we really make a decision that what we need to take out? So the first question was, okay, what is our pipeline for this year? What was it last year? Then distribution of that pipeline. Who created the pipeline? Sales created, outbound, inbound, marketing created, event created. Eventually, since we were leading the project, and we come to a point where we were not able to attribute most of the revenue to the event-based campaign, and that was the, I would say, eye-opening thing, because the 40% budget went to the campaigns, which was like mostly in person, happening across the states or sometime across the different regions in the world. So that is where the next question started becoming, like it was like layers of onion. You open one layer, then the next one is opening. It became a very critical decision making thing that they could not allocate the budget for next year. So they actually, we went into the half of the queue next quarter of the next year, because we really had to just go back and dig down that how do we answer these questions. Previously, whatever the answer they were getting, it was like just an answer. It was not the true way of just bringing everything back into the C level, or into the strategic decision making. So it's, I mean, if you don't have the right analytics, you cannot really make any decision out of it, even not for your next month, not for your hiring, not for your operation, not for your growth at all.
Yes, I agree with that. I noticed that with Google Analytics, Google kind of, was one of the first platforms to really get into the analytics and make it available to just the average marketer, right? And so tied in with their pay-per-click platforms. I remember the old days when we used to run print ads in newspapers and magazines. You never had any idea what you were getting. You just sat and waited for the phone to ring, right?
Yeah,
And so these
yeah,
days
yeah.
now, with all these analytics and all this information that you can gather, you can really, really nail down what type of leads you're getting, how qualified they are, your click-through rates and all that stuff with those analytics. And it's just been a game changer since the advent of the
True.
internet.
True. And I think this was something which we discussed last time as well, a little bit about that. That now, even someone is watching the TV, like previously the TV commercial, the TVC was something which even the brands could not put a ROI on that. It's not the case anymore. Now, there are hundreds of variation of an ad. Whoever is watching, based on their demographic, geographic, the ad is going to be changed. The time slot is going to be changed. So it's so measurable, it's so actionable. The only thing is someone needs to make it actionable, which is the critical part of the industry and what we are talking about today.
We have a
So,
question from one of the attendees. So
uh-huh.
let me hit you with this question. So the question from the attendee is, I have a B2B SaaS business. Among the channels that you mentioned in your discussion, do you focus on one channel to start with? And then which channels give you the best ROI?
Okay. So again, it's the way we think, and we have seen in the industry. It's not the channel, it's the process of consistency. We have witnessed that the companies, on one hand, companies are doing, they are just doing zoom in for data loading, and they are bringing it into outreach, and then they are doing all the marketing activities. But literally, that does not bring any ROI at all. On the other hand, there is another company which is going through the same process, and their ROI is, 1000%. So it's not about the channel. You need to define the ICP first. If your ICP is someone who spend a lot of time on Facebook, you forget about the LinkedIn. If your ICP spends a lot of time on LinkedIn, you just, you stop thinking about anything else and you just go behind that. But you also make sure that you have consistency in your day-to-day action. If you are not able to do that, people are not going to recall you, if that, and you need to provide the value for sure, but you need to have the consistency going on as a discipline that people would understand. If this person or a company has a discipline, they're going to put a better solution for you out there.
Yes. Also, I will say marketing 101. If you went to college to learn
Yeah.
marketing, what are the basics? What are the fundamentals? Well, one of the fundamentals is, who is your target audience? You know,
Yeah.
are they men, women, older folks, younger folks? Where do they work? What kind of, building that persona and understanding who your ideal customer is will push you to the channel that makes the most sense. If they're business people and you're selling a SaaS platform, so more than likely it's a B2B. If that's the case, then I would say you're out of the gate, you have a high probability of finding your target audience on LinkedIn. They may not
Yeah.
be hanging out on TikTok. They're, may not be hanging out on Facebook very much, but when they're on LinkedIn, they're there to do business. And so generally speaking, you're relevant and you have their attention. So that's something that I would suggest anyway.
Yeah, I would add one more thing, that the channel, whatever the channel you select, these
Yes.
days it's important to have like a mix of your content strategy with there. Like you post just one social media thing every, maybe a info thing, and then you don't have a real face there. You don't talk about anything. I think you need to create a mix, just like the channel. You need to have content mix, and then eventually you bring them together with the value which people are going to understand, and you will see the things are going down in the funnel eventually.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Well, and there is a lot of people on LinkedIn who push out just kind of bland, generic content. And there's such a sea of content out there. You really have to be a little bit different. You got to have something that's very targeted. So if maybe you can give us some idea of to what your SaaS platform does and where it's targeted. That would give us some idea. We got another question, Jalil. This person says, in my opinion, for B2B niche products, networking events are the best as long as you're at the right networking event. What do you guys think about this? What you, you know, I enjoy networking events for
Yeah.
multiple reasons. I can get out of the house. B, I can get to go somewhere. I get to interact with people. I get to eat some food, drink some beer. I don't go there to connect with a lot of people. I usually connect with a few people, but if I'm trying to connect with lots of people, yeah, networking events are not really that's not why I go to them. What are your thoughts?
So it just reminded me two things from past, very good friend and also clients. So one of them used to say that if the events, the day events, or whenever there is a networking event, either case slash, the pre-sales happens before that day. On the day of the event or the networking, it's just like you are going there. You can have a beer, you can have fun. If there is a happy hour, enjoy it. That's it. And you do not expect that you are going to get something really nice out of it. Um, uh, Great conversation, great learnings are great, but selling is not something which happens in the events. The other thing is that I used to ask that why there is a happy hour, to one of my good friend. He's a really nice guy. Why is there is happy hour in the event? And he used to say, because I want to get drunk and I want to go to the event. So so I mean, this is this is how in some cases it is. So don't rely too much on this. It's too risky for a business to just depend on the events.
Oh, yeah, of course. And the other thing is when people go to these events, it's generally considered inconsiderate or rude if you're trying to sell. You know, hi,
Exactly.
how you doing? How's business? How's your family? Where do you live? Blah, blah, blah. Here's my business card. Hey, have a good day. And that's usually about it for me anyway.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I
And
hope that
actually, that brought up one thing in my mind which can help this guy. So I think there is something called as which is very helpful. We have seen that that's a proven thing for the clients. Something called as the intent data on the B2B side. So if you get access to intent data, and then you have the access to the networking event, and then you have access to the list, I think you can do in a lot of cases that event data, the networking list is free, like it's available if you have subscribed to a good kind of ticket, I would say. Or if you have access to that list, you upload that into the intent data platform. You would be able to see if these guys are really looking for something in the real time, in the current time, or not in real time at least. You upload your targeted keywords. If you're selling a SaaS, B2B SaaS, you just upload those lists, and eventually you should be able to see that if these are the guys who are going to have any interest at all. Intent data is actually helpful. A lot of API or third party aggregator are providing it. So we have seen that companies use that for the marketing qualified lead and accounts, and we have seen the salespeople to take advantage of the intent data to close the deals. So that could be something.
yeah, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. Yeah, yeah, it's really hard to understand and get that kind of information at a networking event for sure. And that intent data is is important. But I always kind of start every campaign, every marketing initiative with the basics, the fundamentals. Who am I talking to? Who is my target audience? Who is my customer? I mean, if you're selling the same product all the time, you generally just know that. But sometimes it's good to go back and kind of revisit that and make sure that your messaging is huge. It's a major, major link in the chain. And if you're messaging, you can spend $1 million per month on digital advertising. And if you're
Yeah,
messaging, not speaking to that target audience, you're literally wasting money.
exactly, exactly. There is an interesting thing which came in my mind. It's a past client story. We were running someone else's. So client was receiving a lot of leads from Facebook. So the cost per lead was exceptional, but the conversion rate was like it was horrible. So
Oh,
and the client demand generation team was very confident that there's something like there is something wrong in the sales team and they are not doing the great job. And it was like it was a B2B SaaS, a comparator to Booksy kind of thing. So when we looked into the data, and there was an ad running in the French language, someone from their team wrote that, and there was a small, I would say, contextual understanding difference, and that was leading all the B2C customer to submit a lead. Since it was a B2C customer, it never had the interest in the software. It had the interest in that what they were saying on the ad. So they kept submitting the lead, and it just took a lot of dollars out of the company's pocket. So it's very important. It's as you mentioned, the content and the right content in the right way is something important.
I learned something early on in the world of search engine marketing and advertising, Google pay per click. And what I learned was you can sit and look at impressions and click through rates and all that stuff in your analytics and feel all good about yourself because, you're knocking down 2, 3, and 4% click through rates. But it kind of sort of doesn't mean anything because the real question is how many deals are you closing? That's the real
Yeah,
rubber meets the road. Um, Alex has a question. Hey guys, love the conversation. Just a quick question, if you can answer this. He's currently sitting fully remote with 8 of his team members, and they are selling an AI based product that automates email marketing. Stuck in the marketing loop currently, there is a need that we know for sure. Why should I reach out to Mountainise? In other words, how can you guys help me out? That's what he wants to know. How can Mountainise
I
fix this problem?
So the way we work is that this question was asked in the past as well. The way we work is that we are not basically going to replace something which you currently have in terms of teams or in terms of your systems. Our expertise, and that's where we excel, is that we need to look at your loophole, or your revenue holes, leakage, and all of those marketing, the gaps, and which we can see from the data. We are not the product guys who are going to just talk about the language and how the content should look like. Our responsibility is to translate the analytics which your team has been having in the past, but they are not able to make a sense out of it. I can give you an example. If you have a user on your website, it's being recorded in the Google Analytics, and you have in the past, you are not able to relate that back into your Salesforce as a CRM. We When we jump in, first of all, we connect these dots from the point A to point Z. So we will give you a transparency and a full 360-degree picture. If this guy submitted a lead on your website, how many sessions exist, and you can literally relate it back into your GA by seeing the Salesforce ID over there, that this is a full 360 journey. And over there in your Salesforce, if the sales guys are doing outreach, multiple campaigns, the marketing guys are working. So you should be able to get things really quickly on your hand and build them effectively. So this is where we stand out. Everything is like we go to the an extra mile in every single thing.
Makes sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. We're getting more questions, so I think it might be nice to continue answering questions. We don't have a name on this one. Says that anyway, this guy just made a comment. I think B2B marketing is something that AI robots aren't going to take over anytime soon. Even humans get confused, which I don't know, maybe an argument for AI, right?
We talked about that AI last time, Jerry. So, but I saw an interesting ad this morning. It was on LinkedIn. So there was a guy who went to Cinnabon for some drive-through, and there was no human interaction. It was a tablet. The AI was asking, "What do you want?" and it kept having the conversation. So I think there are some challenges for sure which are coming. So the AI adoption should be there before it like the companies, or some of the companies are already confused. So before you guys get more confused, at least start adopting. And then we have another question look like.
Yes. And we've answered this quite a few times. As B2B marketers, what challenges are we facing with data privacy and regulation?
What do you think, Jerry?
I think it's the same issues that every single company is dealing with, and it's the same issues as any email campaign, any data. You got to lock down. You got to make sure it's secure. So I don't necessarily see that AI is necessarily a whole lot different from that concept. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. However, there is another end to that, the same thought. Someone just asked me a question, I think yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday. We were talking about the data, and someone asked, okay, do you guys use Zoom Info, Apollo, or things like that? And then he said,
Right.
how do these guys collect the information? And because they know that what are the intent we have, what are the what is our current email ID, and how do they keep the track of the location and the phone number. I mean, the data aggregator exists everywhere. they that is why the European Union consistently improved their bylaws, I would say. And US also have a lot of great, especially the California has the same kind of thing. So the challenge is there, but as and from the ethical perspective and the practice, even for us, we always, if we get a aggregator API or access to that level of details, we do not go to a level where, first of all, we are getting an additional piece of information, and the way we build the integration and system, we do not let the system to expose unnecessarily. And that is where the ethical part comes first, to make sure that there are no data breaches and stuff like that happening on the account of these technologies.
Yes, that makes sense. Um, yeah, data security. I mean, most of the platforms that I've used, I mean, for instance, Salesforce, I mean, security is just interwoven through the entire platform. So they kind of sort of protect everything for you, but you still have to pay attention, you know, to make sure that your org is running optimally. Um, someone is asking, I do consumer to consumer marketing, and they're just trying to wrap their head around B2B. How does lead qualification differ there? So this is kind of a generic marketing question. Here's what I'll say. I'll just throw this out. So just think about the fact that in one scenario, C2C, you are marketing to Mary Johnson, who has 3 kids, and she's a human. B2B marketing, you're marketing to organizations with, you know, could be hundreds of people that have to make decisions on a day-to-day basis. Consumer marketing can go from zero to sale a lot faster than B2B. And then, of course, depending on the product and the price of the product and that sort of thing. Typical lead qualifications for a consumer are just kind of your average run-of-the-mill stuff, like, you know, do they have the income to pay for the product? Of course, we're talking about, you know, a product that's maybe a little bit higher in cost, maybe has a little long. Usually, the higher in cost of the product, the longer the lead times are, the longer the qualification process is. So that's what consumers are. Then, of course, businesses, you know, don't make decisions fast, and especially if you're dealing with like governments and jurisdictions where, you know, they maybe make a buying decision one time a year, and so you have a window to create that value, get your sales pitch in there, and, you know, get a yes or a no right out of the gate, because if you miss that window, you're waiting an entire year to make that close that deal.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Can you explain
That's
how to
true.
use Salesforce reports and dashboards to monitor B2B marketing performance? Yeah, that might be a little bit too in depth for this discussion today. So we
Yeah,
might have to table that one. That one's I mean, you could have an entire webinar strictly on that question.
yeah. We will leave this question for now to Trailhead, and
Yeah,
we
yeah,
will
yeah,
discuss
yeah. I
this
would jump on
specifically in a.
Trailhead for sure. Jump on Trailhead and everything you will need, or get on Chat GPT, or just get on Google and just ask that same question, and you'll have about 1,000 answers. Karen
Yeah.
says, I think B2B marketing is something that the AI robots are not going to take over anytime soon. Laugh out loud. What do you think? Well, I think we're already doing it. I think it's already happening.
Yeah, I think so. The industrial revolution has been happening over the centuries by this time. So I think that adoption should be the first thing which everyone should accept. Anything can happen. There we are just few steps away from some of the interesting stack integrations, and if it happens, we have already seen a really great AI based call center demo, and we were astonished when we saw it. Like
Really?
literally, it was, yeah, it dials the call. It has a great conversation. The other guy did not realize it's
Oh,
an AI. Booked a meeting, sent a
no
meeting
way.
to the
Really? I
CRM.
I
So
have
I mean,
not seen
imagine.
that. That's unbelievable. See, when she asked
So,
that question, the first thing that went to my head was, well, okay, you can use AI to automate a lot of the process, but interspersed through the process, anywhere that a human has to have human to human interaction, then we have to have humans. But
yeah.
based upon what you're saying, maybe that might not be the case.
The companies these days, we since we get into a lot of deep debate with different great and interesting clients, and our role, we really feel proud because we do not work as a external partner. We get into the actual meetings. We feel the culture, we feel the challenge. So the companies are trying to optimize the first touch, and the first touch is that how do they really optimize the SDR journey. And the SDR journey is like sending out thousands of emails, dialing out, making sure that the appointment happens. So that is where the AI has intervened already. It's
Sure.
expensive, but it will become available readily. I can tell you that. So be ready.
Wow.
Whoever
Wow.
whoever think about it.
That's crazy. Another question, is B2B marketing all about LinkedIn and emails? I would say that this is just me. B2B marketing is LinkedIn. Think of everything as a tool. LinkedIn is a tool, emails is a tool. I still think that direct mail marketing is still effective. It can be effective. And, these days, people are so compounded with so much information all the time. You have to kind of tap them on the shoulder like 10, 15, 20 times before they think, oh, who are these guys? So, hitting them with emails, they see you on LinkedIn, maybe they see you on TV, maybe they hear you on the radio, maybe they get something in the mail. And after a while, now they have a need and they think of you because they've seen you either consciously or subconsciously, 20, 30, 40 times over the past,
Yeah,
year. So
totally,
wait,
totally.
is that your thought as well?
I totally agree to that. I would say that the goes back to the same basics of marketing. Like we got into the MBA. These were the helpful thing which are still helping us. I think the basics are important in this. Like you keep recalling the value which you're trying to add subconsciously, and eventually, whenever there is a need, people will consider you. But there is one problem which we have seen even at some point of time in our team. We face this. The company wants to really sell when there is no need. So that is where you need to understand you're building a funnel, and at some point of time, if you are able to add the value, it will materialize. So if you are in the B2B industry, your software costs around $15,000. You are in the Q3 and you want to sell it out hard. You need to set your expectation. You cannot do it in your first email or first ad or first call. Someone need to make the $15,000 in the budget first before they can approve it. So yeah.
Yes, I totally agree with that. Another question, it's not really a question, it's a statement. They said that a tactic that seemed to work well for his sales team, his or her sales team, looking to feed the funnel, were regularly scheduled webinars targeted for their audience. And the key was to offer something of value for free to the customer. And so, I do a fair amount of podcasts, and what I will say is, now that podcasts and live streams and webinars are pretty popular, now it's just a matter of whether someone's going to allocate time to spend an hour with you on your platform. And if they see some value, if somebody's full-time job is analytics, let's say, and they're an analyst or something, and they're trying to get better at that, that's something they're going to naturally be drawn towards, a webinar like this. What do you think?
Yeah, totally. I think you already covered it. The only thing is that day by day, it's important to just understand one thing, that the shorter content you have with higher value is getting more attraction over the longer content.
Yes.
So I mean, there was a 2 hour podcast, 3 hour podcast. I have listened to a lot of those interesting things, but now people would like to have a maybe 30 minutes preference. So yeah, I think that's how someone
Yeah,
can
just
think
have
about it.
one subject and just hit it hard. And yeah, and then make it really clear for people to understand, kind of I used to be in radio, and when we would produce radio advertisements, I used to kind of follow a format and was uh tell them what you're going to tell them, then tell them, and then tell them what you told them. Because humans
Yeah,
only
yeah,
remember, you know, especially on radio, maybe 5 to 10% of what they hear. So you have to really
yeah,
be
yeah,
repetitive.
yeah, yeah. Totally, totally.
So last question. I'm going to ask you. Let's talk about future trends. We're not going to be able to answer any more of the audience questions, but on future trends, talk to me a little bit, Jalil, about future upcoming trends, innovations like AI, machine learning, and predictive analytics, and how that's going to affect the analytics piece of marketing.
I think the future of what we are seeing in the real near future specifically, we are literally seeing that the companies are moving from moving from their system into the better system, and it's happening in the two situations. The first one is that the company may have made a decision that they wanna, maybe previously they wanna buy one of the most powerful CRM slash marketing automation system, and then they realize, okay, we are not able to utilize it, we are not able to manage this guys, the giant, and now we need to have something which our team can handle. So they're switching to the right platform. On the other hand, the companies are using smaller platform, they're scaling up, and then they build a lot of customization. So the trend we are seeing is a major move into the some industry giant like HubSpot really picked it up from last couple of especially 2 years. We have seen a great trend into that world, that type of stuff. We also see that a lot of people are into the kind of thing where the source of truth concept is taking place. People wants to build the data warehouse, which is important, which needs to be considerable. Now people wants to, even though all of the platform like these, you name it, and they have the chat GPT or the AI builder in there, but they want to have the Gen AI features somehow specifically customized for their own need. So if these three things are being kept out, segmentation for content management, for the even your automation creation, this is great. This can really add a lot of value. I also see that the integration between the a wide platform has, the accessibility to that has been increased with respect to past. That is also very interesting. And the last one is a lead qualification system. It is changing, like the way, the one which I was sharing on my screen before my Wi-Fi got killed. So that was something which had initially only 5 parameters. We had one spreadsheet. Now it's a framework of 20 different spreadsheets of 200 parameters. So lead qualification system is consistently improving, and the one should think about it very, very rapidly.
That's good. Yeah. It's a very exciting time. Lots of things happening, lots of things changing in the AI world. I think the past few years, or the past, 10, 20 years, between the internet, cell phones, and a few other technologies, a lot of things have really changed, but I think they're going to pale in comparison to what's coming on the AI front. I think it's going to permeate every nook and cranny of our world, and it's already becoming kind of the norm. People are getting used to the concept of AI. So thank you, Jalil.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, and thank everyone for coming to the Mountainise webinar. Today's subject was: Are you marketing in the dark using analytics as your flashlight? And if you're a marketer, you know all about analytics. So thanks everyone for coming. Anything else you want to add? Jalil?
I would just say that we would be happy to share our some, at least partial framework, which is our proprietary framework. So if you guys wanna have access to that, feel free to just visit our website, request it on our contact us form, and we will be sending it to your inbox.
Great, great. And then they
Awesome.
can get to the website at mountainise.com.
.com. Yeah.
And then on
Yeah,
LinkedIn, you go to at Mountainise Inc.
that's right.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, that's where I
Lovely.
spend most of my time is on LinkedIn every day, all day long.
Great stuff. Thank you, Jerry, and thank you everyone
Yeah, thanks,
for
Jalil.
being here.
Have a
Yeah,
good
have
day,
a great rest of
everyone.
your day.
Take care.
Thank